So let's talk about the 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask.
And we are talking about multiple offer situations. What do you do? How do you win in a multiple offer situation? Because we know that as the market heats up, we're starting to see more and more multiple offer situations. And so before we talk about how you win in those scenarios, we're going to talk about when we see them, which is when we have low inventory or when demand is outpacing the supply of homes, which is what we're seeing right now.
So you're in a multiple offer or a multiple offer market when the list price is the beginning of the offer process. So in a balanced market or a buyer's market, this is one where there are more properties than there are buyers. Then that means that the list price is really like a suggestion, and then the buyer comes in and provide some insight as far as like, okay, great, this is what I believe the property is worth. And so that's when you kind of start to find the market value. In a seller market or a competitive market, the list price is really the beginning of the offer process. So this is where the seller lets you know, hey, I'm setting the price. You determine if you want to meet that price or exceed that price. So one concept that we try to talk about on our channel is the market of the moment. So whatever market you're in is going to determine what you're able to do at that particular time. Crystal already mentioned there are some times when we have exclusive properties, maybe waterfront views or penthouse condos or desirable neighborhoods where there's going to be a multiple offer scenario no matter what market we're in. You just need to know that the market of the moment will determine how you actually pursue a property.
When you're in a multiple offer situation, you have to realize that if the goal is to win, then you have to do what's necessary to win, which is be more aggressive than maybe you thought you would have to be. And so that means that the list price tends to be the starting price. So you have to go in knowing that you can expect to pay at least list price, if not higher, when there are multiple offers. Well, how do we know that? Well, if you're in a market where you're starting to see that prices are climbing, or you're in a situation where because sometimes agents will tell us, I already have 2 offers in hand. Well, if you know that there are other buyers already who have submitted offers, you can guess that they have offered at least list price, right? So that means you need to put your offer together in such a way that it's going to be competitive. And one of the ways you do that is you check the numbers. We're going to see what the comps say. And so you're going to see what other people have done to win. So when we say check the comps, we don't just mean check to see what other homes have sold for, as far as like, okay, well, last month homes are selling for, $600,000. No, you want to see how much homes sold for over list price.
So we have this little graphic here. The idea is simple. The list price is really the starting price for the month that you're in, right? So we have a little diagram here where list price in January may have started at 550, but then the close price was 555. So that means that the sellers in February, so February sellers are going to look at the close price, and they're going to actually make their list price the previous close price.
The previous month's close price. So now that means the listings that came on the market in February, instead of listing at 550, well, they listed at 555 because that's what their neighbors got in January. Well, we're in a multiple offer situation. So now their home was bid up to 565. And so you have to say, okay, well, I know that last month's buyers had to offer $10,000 above in order to get the property. So what do I need to offer in order to win the property? Because again, the goal is to win. We're not in the business of making offers. You're in the business of essentially winning a property. So start with your best offer. You're not going to have an opportunity to negotiate and go back and forth. You have to start whatever it is that you're willing to pay. You have to start with that, because in a multiple offer situation, there's no guarantee that the listing agent or the seller is going to come back to you and say, well, would you do this? Chances are the offer you're presenting is the only shot you're going to have in a multiple offer situation. And so this is where escalation clause comes in. An escalation clause says, well, let me break it down this way. Let's say you're willing to pay $625 on a property, right? You're willing to pay $625, but it's listed at $600. So you don't want to just jump out the window immediately offering $625, right? Because you don't know what other buyers are offering. So instead, when we have a $600,000 list price, you say, well, I would pay up to $625, but I'm only willing to pay $1,000 above whatever the next highest offer is. So that way, if another buyer offered $615, 615 and your escalation clause said you would pay $1,000 more, you end up paying 616. Now you would have paid up to 625, but you're able to save $9,000 by including the escalation clause instead of just coming straight out the gate and offering 625.
So when you're in a competitive offer situation, you want to you want to write a clean offer. So you'll start to hear this language, a clean offer. I thought it'd be clever to talk about what is a dirty offer. And so a dirty offer is one where you have a seller subsidy. This is one where you're asking the seller to pay for some of your closing costs. You have a long or short closing period, so you don't even care about what the seller wants. This is really just all about you have a low down payment, you have a low earnest money deposit, you have every contingency imaginable, so home inspection, financing, appraisal, and even a home sale. So you have a home to sell and you're telling the seller, hey, look, I want to put your house under contract and then give me some time to sell my property. That's a dirty offer. When we're talking about a clean offer, we're talking about removing as many contingencies as possible that you feel comfortable, right? So this is one of those things where you have to ask yourself, what do I feel comfortable? But your goal is to figure out what is clean offer to me. What is a clean offer to me? Maybe that is a shorter home inspection period. Maybe that is removing the financing contingency, but having the appraisal contingency. So it's just different things for different people.
Sometimes the most important thing to the seller is price. And that's what a lot of people jump to. So they're going to try to offer the most money. But for some sellers, it's other things. It could be that they want to close really quickly. Like, so do you have a lender who can close in 12 days? Because if so, that could be the thing that differentiates you from someone else who may have a higher offer, but they can't close for 30 days or 45 days. Another thing that'd be very helpful for sellers is a seller rent back. Again, find out what's important to the seller and craft your offer in a way that gets the seller everything that they're looking for.
So a hot topic right now is seller love letters. So how do you move from just being a number on a spreadsheet to having a more personalized offer, so then you can kind of strike up those emotions that are tied to the whole home selling, home buying process? Well, that's through a seller love letter. And so this is where you profess your love to the seller about the property. And what we're talking about is we're talking about you talking about like what is your transition to the neighborhood, what you love about the property, the community,
what you can see, how you can see your family using the space.
Yes. So seller love letters, we can tell you from our history, they work. Sellers love the love letters.
So next up, we talk about winning, because that's what we said we want to do, right? Well, you can't win if you don't play. So if you are interested in the property, it doesn't take long to prepare an offer on your agent's end. So if you are interested in the property, go ahead and make an offer on it. And when I say that is if you are interested, because sometimes when we're getting into these really hot markets and these multiple offer situations, we end up with clients who feel like they have to make an offer every weekend. And if you're not interested, then you shouldn't play. Now, you may not win your first or even your second try. When we're in a multiple offer situation, you have to realize that if one person got that house last week, then all the other buyers who did not secure, all the people who lost that bid, those people are still in the market this week. And then we have the new buyers who just entered the market this week. So it may take you a little while to find a property. So don't get discouraged, because it could take you more at bats than you thought to get a hit.
The market of the moment determines what you're able to do. So it takes some time. You know, if you're buying a $600,000 to $1 million to $2 million property, and your agent is saying, hey, look, I want you to offer $50,000 over the asking price, you're like, excuse
hold
me?
on now.
Excuse me, settle down now, you greedy thing. No. So it takes some time to just come to terms with, okay, great. Other buyers are doing this. I want to buy a home in a certain period of time. This is the market of the moment. So let's prepare to do battle. I will say, when you win a property in a multiple offer scenario, after you've lost several weeks in a row, you feel like you won a championship game. I got to let you know. I know a lot of people are like, Abraham, I don't want to buy a house during this time period because it's so competitive. I'll wait till things die down. I'm a 40-year-old guy. I got to let you know, you don't really have that many exciting moments. And there is nothing like knowing that 3, 10, 20 people lost because you won. It's your house. It's my house.
It is your
so I will say that
is that where you get your victories? Is that it?
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's nothing like when you make that call to the client. You're like, hey, look,
it's a lovely call,
and it's like it's so quiet too. Like the client is anticipating defeat, and you could hear it in their voices. And then you say we won, and
I know.
It just erupts in
especially when they've lost a few, because I get so tired of having to start a conversation with unfortunately. Like I feel like it's such a relief relief when I can finally start a conversation with congratulations versus unfortunately, because it's always unfortunately the seller selected another offer.
Yes.
It's draining, it's daunting. It's always a good feeling when we can say congratulations versus unfortunately. That's definitely a good feeling.